I believe every one of us, each one of us, as long as we are alive, there is a certain fire burning in us. At least this burnt in me, even while I was growing up. And I began to search for purpose per se. Like, what do I really want to do with my life? Or what am I actually here for? Yes. Like everyone who is born, you're faced with certain challenges, especially some that the environment throws at you. Yes. But that was a long time ago. And from being a little boy, wondering about life, wondering about purpose, to the age of 30 now, it's been a wonderful journey, believe me. And I've loved every bit of it. I've loved every bit of it. Year in, year out, over time, in my search for freedom, in my search for purpose, I became open more to the reality that a bulk of what I would become is dependent on what I do with my time or what I do with my life. As much as we all wish for God to transform our lives, as much as we all wish for a miracle, I got to find out that there is a way we influence our luck by our personal choices and what we do. And I'll put it this way. I told someone one time, I hate living life passively. Yes, I hate living life passively. I hate getting to a point where there is actually nothing I can do. I hate getting to the point where there is nothing I can do to change things. As much as this is a reality, there are some situations you can change. But I got to find out that there is actually much I could change. As much as I am waiting for my God to do the things I cannot do, there are actually some things I can do and that I better get doing that actually would transform my life or change my life, change my odds. Reading for survival, cultivating the habit that transforms your life. Why am I so particular about reading and reading books? Because I found out that the only habit that has the greatest potential to change your life or to influence you is reading a book. The greatest habit that would influence you, influence your life, and transform you to what you would want to become is actually picking up a book and read. Yes, picking up a book and read. I wanted to share with you the first time I picked up a book to read. Yes, the first time I picked up a book to read. And I don't mean pick up a book because of school, because most of us have this notion of, when it comes to reading, you have to be studying for something or studying a course in school or being in university or in school to now pick up a book to read. But no. And that is now how you now even see where we get things all wrong. The first time I picked up a book to read willingly, I remember the title of the book. It was Life Skates. I was out of secondary school. Probably wanting to enter. My sister had a lot of books flying around. She reads a lot of books, though I just call them storybooks because they just told stories. And she had one lying around, and it was a small book. I picked it up, Life Skates, and I read it, and I loved it. Yes, I loved it. The next time I read another book after that was 2 years after. Yes, 2 years after. And the next book was The Four Quadrants by Robert Kiyosaki, talking about the four quadrants. And that book opened my eyes to, where I am and where I need to be. Yes, and where I needed to be. And that was my first experience. Why am I sharing this is, personally, I believe I started reading too late. And the only time I was told to read by my parents, they won't force you to read, was, you're reading for exams. And I never really understood why we needed to read, per se. I never really understood why we needed to read. And the reason why I would say I never really understood why we needed to read was because I never understood life. Yes, I never understood life. So I never understood why we needed to read. So now I'll be sharing with you why you actually need to read. Yes, why you need to pick up a book and read. Most of us think that we go to school to learn how to read ABC and how to spell and how to, they ask you what is this and how to answer questions. Yes, we think we went to school to learn spelling and how to answer questions. Once they ask you a question, you can reply. No, that is not actually why you were taught in school. One of the basic things that education was meant to teach us is to teach us how to communicate with one another clearly, how to communicate, how to pass useful information and ideas to another person, how to paint and tell our perspectives, how to explain and tell our perspectives to another person. More on, communicating ideas, communicating, cultures and stuff like that. Yes. So the reason why they taught you how to read ABC, how to calculate 1, 2, 3, and do the multiplication table is majorly so that you can be able to communicate an idea or communicate a perspective to somebody or to people. Yes, so you can be able to communicate clearly. Yes, because without education, proper communication, this world will be in chaos. Yes. So now, as I mentioned, one of the advantages since why you need to read and pick up a book to read is that, one, you are not an island. There are people who have lived this life before you came. It will be an insult, number one, and a thing of pride not to actually honor, especially those who have learned something and made notes of something and made it available in a book for you, for your advantage. It will be an insult not to actually pay attention to that book or read those books. I know it sounds so funny and might fly over your head, but seriously, books are actually written, one, to solve a problem, and two, to bring your attention to something important. Yes, to bring your attention to something important. And for entertainment. Yes, for entertainment. So what happens when you read good books? Yes, what happens when you read good books? Number one, when you read good books, as I said, books are meant to solve a problem for you. When you read a book, and a very good one, believe me, especially when you are building something, because books are like maps. They are to help you in this journey. Like the Bible. The Bible is a map, is a manual. Yes, the Bible is a manual. And there are other books too that are manuals. Yeah, there are other books. And I'm speaking about non-fiction for now. I'm speaking about non-fiction. Fictional books, they have their advantages, yes, but I'm not so keen on reading those books. Why? Because for me, I've only found that they can only do two things for you. Number one, they can increase your vocabulary. Yes, they can increase your vocabulary. And two, they can help you to think, or should I say, to fantasize, to just fantasize and dream out of this world. That is good. But I don't really believe non-fiction fix real life problems, because when in search of purpose, you're actually solving real life problems, and you have to be in tune with real life elements to, so I am, so when I'm speaking concerning non-fiction. I don't really like to deal with fictional books. I just call them storybooks. Maybe they may help you to know how to tell stories. No wahala. But non-fiction now. Number one, they help you with clarity, helps you clear on the goal. Number two, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This one I like so much. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody has already gone through the problem and has written the solution down for you. It's only up to me to do due diligence, to just pick up the manual and read. And I don't have to cross 7 seas and 5 oceans before I learn what to do. You get. Also, reading good books helps you focus. Yes, you know the important things to focus. It trains your subconscious. Recently, I did a video on business athleticism where I spoke on business and the athlete's mindset of business. Yeah. One of the things I also spoke about is having some routines and rituals that business athletes go on. One of them is reading good books, because reading good books gives you a mindset. It shapes your subconscious to know that, look, we are after something, we are after a goal. Yes, reading good books shapes your subconscious. It helps you build mental strength in situations where other people might cave in, but because you have built your mind, you have eaten and drank from the greats. Yes, you know how they survived. You know that yes, things, you are ready for it. Exactly. It helps you build mental strength. I hope I've been able to communicate one of the importance of reading. Now, how can you kickstart the habit of reading? How can you kickstart the habit of reading? Well, the first thing to know is that it starts from your mindset. Yes, it starts from your mindset. If you are someone who is a visionary, who is after impact and creating something that would outlive you, you know that books are something to pick up, to read. Yes, if you want to, it's not, I'm not even in support of not picking a book to read. Even if you don't pick a book to read, pick up your Bible. Yes, that's where it starts from. Pick up your Bible and read, at least. Because your life is too important not to know where you are going, or not to get clarity, or not to relate with other great minds and know if you are actually on that path, and know if you actually, your life is just too precious, please, not to pick up a book and read. And it's not grievous, believe me. A lot of people think you have to love reading or you have to love books. That is a lie. I never started out loving books. It's not about you loving to read at all. You don't have to love to read before you pick up the book and read. We don't read books because we love it. We read books because we are searching for treasure. Yes, we are searching for treasure. We are searching for solutions. We are searching for ideas that can help us, that can increase our speed. Your speed in life, when I mean life with what you are building, whether it's business or your life and relationships, your speed would only increase when you have clarity. If you don't have clarity, your speed will not increase. Yes, and that is what books do for you. And we don't read because we love it. We read because it is needed. It is an important tool. You can't go through life without arming yourself. If you're a Christian here and you're familiar with the weapons of a Christian, you see that the Bible is tagged as a weapon. In fact, that is the only weapon. Every other spiritual weapon was a defensive weapon. The helmet, the belt, the girdle, every other one was a defensive. But the Bible was the only offensive, which was the sword. Yes. And believe me, it is not only the Bible that is a sword. Yes, it is not only the Bible that is a sword. There are books that are actually sword. There are books in businesses that you need, that are your sword to fight. Because the journey is long and hard. Only those who are ready will win. Yes, only those who are ready will win. And just as the topic says, you are reading for survival. How do you kickstart your reading habits? Number one, as I said, it is a mindset. It starts from here. Know that it is necessary for me to read. I am not reading because I like it. I am reading because it is needed. And you have to see reading as part of work. You have to see reading as part of what you have to do every day. It is part of your life. Yes, it is part of your life. Strategies and tips on cultivating the habit of reading. I believe everyone can love reading if you know what you are looking for. Just as I said, we are looking for something. If you know what you are looking for, you will love reading. And the number one tip and strategy I love giving people on reading is that number one, pick a good book. Pick a book you love. Most people don't know that you don't have to read every book. This is not about a reading competition. You don't have to. It's not about reading so many books at all. It's not about reading so many books, but you must read. Yes, you must read. It's not about reading so many books, but you must read. But the books you read, they must be very interesting to you. You must be interested in reading those books. Now, how do you get yourself interested in reading the book? The first thing I do is to read the introduction. Just read the introduction of that. Read the introduction of that book. If you are not captivated with the introduction of that book, don't worry, no guilt. Drop the book. I'm telling you. If you're not interested in the book, the instant you read the introduction of that book, don't just drop the book. And the second tip I'll give you is that pick a book that solves a solution for you. Don't just pick any book. The book you are picking must be able to solve a solution for you. Why do we read the Bible? We read the Bible because it solves a solution for us. It solves a spiritual solution in terms of wisdom, in terms of revelation. The same thing with a book. It has to solve a solution for you. And believe me, no matter what you are facing in life at the moment, there is a book that solves a solution for you. Pick a book that solves a present solution for you. Number 3, this one is important. If you are just starting out reading books, it is very important you read a small book. Don't be so fast to read those 300 pages, 500 pages book. No, read a small book first. Once you read a small book, little by little, you create that appetite of reading for yourself. Then you can now go to the bigger books. Yes, but there are small books that can help you. Yes, there are small books that solve the solution. If I want, there is a very small book that really helped me one time. Who moved the cheese? Or this book by this Stephen Cohen. This thing I don't remember. I know the title. Another tip again I will give you is don't be so hung up in the title of the book. You don't have to memorize the title of the book or the author. Yes, or the author of the book. No. What you need is what is inside the book. You don't have to memorize the name of the author. People always have that pressure that, when I read, I have to know. Yes, there's always this love and this. There are books that I have read that I don't even know the title. I've even forgotten the title. But what I read in those books, they will live with me. They're already in me already. I've forgotten the title of a lot of books. That's not the issue. It's the reading. Yes. So on to the next one. Read physical books first. If you are someone who hasn't created the appetite for reading, first start with physical books. Don't start with ebooks. Though, believe me, if you are someone who is searching, if you are someone who is searching for solutions, it's not all books that are physical. There is not all physical book that you will see. In fact, there are some physical books you cannot afford. Yes, there's some physical books you cannot afford, but they are very much available online as PDFs. So it's quite important that you'd have to read PDFs. But if you are just starting out reading, first start with physical books before you then switch to ebooks. Now, I already mentioned read a book that solves a problem for you. Yes. Now, the next one is take notes. Very, very important. When you are reading a book, always endeavor to take notes. There are some things that will strike you. You don't just let them pass out, or just leave like that. You can have a pen with you, and that's something I like about physical books, because especially if they are your own. When you borrow books, you have to respect the book. You don't write on them. But when it's my own book, I write. I might not even write on that book, but when it comes to highlighting, I try to highlight as much as I can. And when you do that, you create a bond with that book. That brings me to one hard tip, a very, very hard tip, which is reading a book twice. Yes, sometimes reading a book once is not enough. Yes, sometimes reading a book once is not enough. And you can't get the whole information in a book at the first read. Yes, you can't get the whole information at the first read. So there are times, I said earlier that it's not about the volume of the book, but you must read. It's not about the volume, but you must read. It's about the books you read. Not the volume, but the books you read. There are books you will read over and over again. Yes. And that's why taking notes is very important. What I do, my own practice is, when I read the first time, I don't take notes. But when I read again the second time, I start taking notes from those books. I have them in my library even. I start taking notes so that the next time I want to read that book, I don't have to read the book again. I only have to refer back to the notes and read the notes often. I read the notes often. I don't have to read the volume of the book again. Though there are some books that you have to read again and again, just like the Bible. There are also books like that too. I have some books that I think 100 Million Sales by Alex Omozi. I've read it. If this is not the third time I'm reading it again, yes, because I did not get that. Seriously. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in not getting the whole value of a book in the first time that you read it. No. So the next tip again, set a timer. Yes, set a timer. Now, it's not about the intensity sometimes. It's about consistency. Reading consistently. It helps you finish the book. When I wanted to cultivate the habit of reading, I tend to set alarms. Yes, for myself. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Yes, it started increasing. But I would recommend 20 minutes. Just give yourself, even if you don't like reading, but you see a book that you know that you have to read and that will solve a problem for you. Just give that book 20 minutes of your time a day. Why do I say 20 minutes of your time a day? Because that helps you with number one. Once you set the timer, even if that book is not interesting at that moment, once the timer rings that you've read the book for 20 minutes, you can leave the book without guilt and come back tomorrow and read another 20 minutes. Don't worry, you have ticked your distance for today. Just doing it 20 minutes, just reading for 20 minutes. Come back again the next day, read 20 minutes to yourself, then leave it again. But this is one thing I will assure you and I will share. If you have found for yourself a good book, that is very interesting and that solves a problem for you, even you yourself, you will see that 20 minutes is not enough. The timer I set for myself is 30 minutes. Yes, 30 minutes per book. But when 30 minutes, most of the time, when 30 minutes elapses, I still find myself reading, more than the time, farther than the time. Yes, because just imagine you're reading a book and you are getting the understanding and the wisdom and the revelation and how it would help you and how you would not want to stop it. Why would you want 30 minutes for what? You would want to keep on reading even until you finish that book. Yes, it's more like a race to the end. So that's why I said, that's why a timer, just put that timer just to fulfill all righteousness for that day. Set a timer for 20 minutes. And I will assure you would even read more than 20 minutes. The next one is traffic university. The idea is that if you're in the bus, if you're not the one driving, if you're in the bus, what may I do is, if I'm going out and I see that I'm going to spend a while in the bus, I'm not always in a hurry at the bus stop to pick a bus. I always like to pick a very, very comfortable side or a seat, a place where I can easily just bring out my phone or bring out a book and just read till it's the time for me to drop. Yes. So we call that traffic university. Learning on the road. Learning while you are on the road. Yeah, we call that traffic university. Now, if you are the one driving, another strategy for reading books is using audiobooks. There are books that the authors also prepare audiobooks of the same books. It's just like a voice recording of that book. So even when you are driving, you are still listening to the book. For those who are starting out to cultivate the reading habit, whether you like reading or not, these tips will help you. Whether you like reading or not, they will help you. As long as you have the mindset that you have to read. Reading is an essential in your growth, in your personal growth, your spiritual growth. It is an essential. Yes, you are reading for survival. It was Mark Twain who said that the person who does not read is not different from an illiterate. The person who does not read is not different from an illiterate. Because why? An illiterate, yes, we agree that an illiterate does not know how to read. Even if you give him a book, he does not know how to read it. But the person who knows how to read but does not pick up a book to read is still not different from an illiterate, because you're also not getting information, you're not getting knowledge, you're not getting wisdom, you're not growing. You're not different from an illiterate. So now, the next tip I'll be sharing with you is very, very easy. Especially if you are reading boring books. I wouldn't say boring books, but okay, let me put it. Especially if you are reading lengthy books. Yes, books that they are quite lengthy. Though yes, they are very important. I've come in contact with some books like that. Even the Bible itself is a book like that. It's not boring, but there are aspects that are lengthy. You get it. You get the gist. So let me just tell it to you. So the strategy is read out loud. Yes, read out loud. In that your time that you have prepared for yourself to read, pick up that book and read it to yourself out loud. That way, you help your focus when you are reading the book, and you are also in tune following the book. It was one of my mentors who shared that idea with us. And you read faster. Yes, you read faster when you read out loud. You follow the story, you follow the book intimately when you read out loud. It helps you. In fact, I would even recommend you reading out loud. Yes, I'll recommend you reading out loud when you have a book. It doesn't have to be so loud. You can mutter them to yourself, but enough that you can hear yourself. I also have communicated something that would help someone this year. Because year in, year out, one habit will help you to stand out. You know, they say readers are leaders, Abi. They say readers are leaders. I'm not trying to tell you, yes, if you want to lead, but if you are someone who wants to stand out, if you are someone who wants to build competence in what you do, in who you are, then reading books is a non-negotiable for you. And I believe with all I have shared with you, this would help you in cultivating that habit day in, day out. Let me also share one other tip with you, that you can miss a day. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon advised, he said, reading books is wearisome. Like, there are so many books in this life that you cannot read all of them finish. You can miss a day. Don't miss 2 days that you will not pick up a book and read. You should always have a book you are reading in every season. Well, as a caveman though, I'll put it this way, only for cavemen, the 1% is that at every point in time, they should not come to meet you that, what book are you reading at the moment? And you would have no idea, and you will have no answer. It should not be said. No. They should ask you, what book are you reading at the moment? And you don't have an answer. No. No, you don't know what you are doing yet. You don't know what you are doing. Yes. And this is not to put pressure on you. It is not. Look at what Jesus said to Joshua in the book of Joshua 1 verse 8. A lot of you don't know that it's Jesus that said it. Look at what Jesus says to Joshua. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. It shall not depart from your mouth. Why? So that you shall observe to. Is when you read, that is when you even have the knowledge to be able to do. Your doing does not just come by chance. Your doing comes by knowledge, comes by revelation, comes by wisdom. And that is what books do for you. Well, I've said a lot. I've said pick up an interesting book. Read a small book. Start with a small book. Read physical book before you switch to ebooks. Read a book that solves a problem for you. Take notes. Take notes. Write on your book. Write on the book. Don't fear. Now you get the book. No fear. And read a book twice. Read a book twice. If you have a book you love, a book that has a lot of value, and be able to read it twice. Set a timer. Engage in Traffic University. Read out loud. And out to the brand who made my cake. Yes, I don't know if you're on WhatsApp, you'd have seen the picture of the cake. And believe me, the cake tasted so nice. Yo, it's really sorcery. So shout out to Meili, that's Cream Sorcery. Reading is an habit you'd have to cultivate to achieve a great year. It's a pleasure to have you guys. So thanks a lot. Peace.